Thanks for tuning into the Zelos Podcast, the show that's all about the pros behind the pros in sports. I'm your host, Rocky Snyder. This week, I've got James and Christian LaValle in the house with me, a father and son team whose company, Metabolic Elite, is really turning heads. We'll get into that in just a minute. Before that, remember, we're getting near the end of the year. You may need some CEUs for your credentials. If you're an athletic trainer, chiropractor, strength coach, physical therapist, why not go to RockySnyder.com, our website, where you can get CEUs online, but also there's in-person workshops, as well as podcast archives, blogs, and a whole bunch more. Just check us out. Oh yeah, and check out the book while you're there. The most recent one I wrote called Return to Center, Strength Training to Realign the Body, Recover from Pain, and Achieve Optimal Performance. This episode of the Zelos Podcast is sponsored by Kinetic IQ, where intelligence meets motion. Kinetic IQ brings a biomechanics lab into the palm of your hand, letting you measure movement anytime, anywhere, with just an iPad or an iPhone, and no wearables required. I've been using Kinetic IQ's markerless motion capture in my own practice, and whether you're screening athletes, analyzing posture and gait mechanics, optimizing performance, or guiding return to play, it helps practitioners like us save time, capture more objective data, and make instant actionable decisions. So to learn more about how Kinetic IQ is shaping the future of intelligent movement, visit them at kinetikiq.com. That's KINETIKIQ.com. Now, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Rocky_Snyder, SNYDER. Hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Tell two of your colleagues or friends about the podcast and enjoy the conversation. Well, it happens not as often probably as I'd like, but today it's definitely happening. I am the dumbest guy in the room. I am going to learn so much. Usually I'm surrounded by young trainers and they look like, oh, this guy's been doing it for so long. I kind of get in the habit of thinking the wrong things. And now I'm going to be I'm going to be a student in class right now. So James, Christian, LaValle, the father-son team with Metabolic Elite, and then some. First off, guys, welcome to the Zelos Podcast.
Great to be here. Ready to go.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, you say that now. I don't know if you're going to say that at the end, James. But
no, I will be ready to go by the end of it, maybe. I don't know.
Hey, give us a little superhero origin. Let's find out where are you? You must be a doctor. You must have. How many PhDs do you hold?
I don't have any PhDs. I've got MOUSCs. No,
Yeah.
I've got my pharmacy degree, and I got boarded in clinical nutrition, and then I got my master's in theology, and I got my diplomas in homeopathic medicine and homeopathic pharmacy from the British Institute of Homeopathy. And then I started a naturopathic medicine school in the state of Ohio, and had that program, and got that Board of Regents approved. So I've been around the block a little bit.
James, what about you? Christian. Dang, I'm going to do that again. I'm sure. But Christian, what about you? Give us your background.
Yeah, so I have a master's in human performance or kinesiology with a concentration in human performance from Texas Tech. Also was a strength conditioning graduate assistant there for a couple of years, as well as a research assistant in the energy balance and body composition lab. And I'm currently doing a course at the Harvard School of Medicine, sort of executive education. I'm doing a program in lifestyle and lifestyle medicine. So going to be doing a little bit of stuff there. But yeah, that
sounds like a light weekend correspondence course. Like you don't delve into much there. Harvard Medical. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Boom. I'm at the bottom of the barrel right now. I'm going to try and climb my way up. There's no way I'll get to you guys. But
I'm not going back to this. It's just a certificate, but it's a cool course that goes into a lot of things to help be a better holistic practitioner.
I just lift heavy crap and count to 10 all day long. So anything above that.
That's okay. I like doing that too.
Dang.
I don't know. I mean, are you doing that in Spanish? Are you changing different languages with that 1 to 10? So, I mean,
I've got I've got French and Spanish down and Pig Latin. I'm almost
See?
through.
Pig
But
Latin.
by now, after doing this for decades, I should have every world religion. But James, before we hit the record, you were telling me that you sit on a few boards as well. Give us a little
Sure.
insight, and you're part of Lifetime too. So bring it all to the table, brother.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, for the last 25 years, I've taught at the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine and served as their educational co-chair. So I'm responsible for bringing kind of longevity and anti-aging science to healthcare providers, and then they get board certified in anti-aging medicine there. So been doing that for quite a while, and kind of one of the Pied Pipers there. And I chair the International Peptide Society. Everybody knows peptides now, right?
Yeah.
They've been whether it was GLP-1s or BPC, somebody understands peptides when you say that. I've written 2 books on that. I've written 26 books, 5 databases. 18 years College of Medicine and Pharmacy, was the clinical director for the Pro Football Hall of Fame Performance Health Program, and started that and developed that. Work with U.S. Special Forces, and we do education with them, especially with their healthcare providers. Christian and I both do that. And, just try to stay busy, nothing else to do.
Chief Science Officer.
Chief Science Officer at Lifetime Fitness, of course, currently now just known as Lifetime. So we got about 2.5 million lives I've got to oversee on that. And, stay busy. It's really good. And have a clinic. I got a clinic. I've been in clinical practice 40 years doing precision health. So I've been at it.
Christian, he casts a fairly large shadow. How do you get out from under that?
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, we both have different strengths and weaknesses. Like, I really fell into the human performance on the strength conditioning side of things, just with being I played Division I football at Utah State and at Texas Tech, so always had great relationship with my strength coaches, and was getting coached by amazing coaches through middle school. Like guys like Charles Pollock when we were around our house. Him and Charles were very close because he
no kidding.
did education.
Did education for Charles
during the biosig for how many years? 6 years, like that, 6, 7, 8 years, or
travel,
whatever it was.
Travel the world,
traveled all over the place with Charles. So he came out and evaluated me when I was in 7th grade, and built a relationship with him. And then also people like Cal Dietz and all these guys were just hanging around the house, and getting all these just amazing background in the strength conditioning side, but also on the diet, the supplements, the biochemistry, the blood work side of things from him. And then also my mom's a dietitian as well, was his lead dietitian for over 30 years now, or 25 years. Don't
make me any older than I am.
Various companies. So
you don't look a day over 97. Being an anti-aging expert,
yeah,
it's
cool.
Amazing.
So
I'm within the decade. That's cool.
We just really play off of each other's strengths and weaknesses really well. And I want to learn. I come in and learn on a daily basis from him on, blood work and compounds and peptides and all these things. But then he also is learning from me on the new, training methods and how they're doing it in college now. And, hey, what's the latest research on this, that, and the other on the strength conditioning? How do I rehab my knee? How do I get my shoulder, feeling better because I tweaked it doing yard work or something, so we we really have an amazing dynamic.
I would say that I think I've taught Christian to cast his own shadow.
It sounds like it, honestly. I was being a little facetious, but you guys have accomplished so much between the two of you. It just pales in comparison to just about anybody else. So you guys, the way we got connected for the listening audience's benefit here is through Mike Potenza. Mike was with the San Jose Sharks for 18 years, went up to Golden State and worked with the Warriors for a season. And then the Sharks organization said, we got to make you a deal you can't refuse. And so he's back at it. He's on the ice getting ready for the preseason, been hanging out a little bit with him. But while we were at the NSCA National Conference there in Kansas City this past summer, you and Mike and Christian were at the Metabolic Elite table handing out little packets. Takes me back to college days in the drug dealing industry, but that's no, I'm just kidding.
Nice.
But I had to go for a sample.
Great first impression.
Thank you.
He's like, can I have more of this, please?
Yes. So I had to come back for more. The products you guys are putting out are, it seems like they're light years ahead of so many other products. And here's the other thing is, having owned a gym here since 1996, we're in our 30th year of operation. You can probably imagine how many solicitations I receive
Oh,
from, whether it's multi-level market products or anything else. I get inundated by all of these products, primarily supplementation. You can put your own brand label on it. You can do this and that. And up until this point, there's not a single supplement that I would I would endorse. But you guys are different. You got some products, and tell us a little bit about, like, why. With the delivery system itself, I know is quite something, but what else? What Just give us the lowdown about
You want,
Metabolic Elite.
you want to give my perspective first, and then you can go on why we did what we did.
I think you already stepped into it, man. You
All
go
right.
ahead.
So, you know, my I'll look at it from, Son's perspective on why he started it with Mike. He's formulated and consulted for some of the biggest in the Thorne, Metagenics, Numedica, Zymogen, Da Vinci. There's tons of big supplement companies he's helped formulate products with. And Mike and him were taught like 6 years ago, I think, while you guys
A
were
little
doing
more than that, I think. Yeah.
the mapping courses for
Yep.
the continuing education.
Yep.
He was like, Jim, why don't you just do it yourself, and let's do it together. We have a good team that we could put together to really make waves in the industry. But we weren't going to come out with another copycat brand. We weren't going to come out with another whey or
Yeah.
another, BCAA or another creatine. Yes, or fish oil. Yes, all of that is important. It's all important. But we wanted to come to the market with something that we knew was going to be innovative and really, disrupt the industry. And that's where the LipoTab, technology came into play. It was like, okay, this is our market differentiator, and this is what we're going to hit the market with, because we think it's that disruptive and that game changing for delivering nutrients more efficiently. And I think that's a good segue for you to kind of talk a little bit about.
Yeah, I mean, from the standpoint of like why the technology, when you have it's basically a multi-layered liposome. So the problem with liposomes when they're in liquid is that they clump back together after they're made, right? So initially, if you get one, they're great. It's just if you wait 90 days and take it, you're not going to absorb it. Whereas when you do a liposomal tablet, you keep the particles really tiny. And when they stay tiny, they can cross your cell membrane and be absorbed. So this is really good for difficult to absorb compounds. So a couple things. One is, where did we apply this first? We're working with Corvette Racing, and they needed, this is kind of the early days of why we needed to find this technology. Corvette race team came in, they said, hey, we want to win Le Mans. I'm like, well, everybody that goes to Le Mans wants to win Le Mans. Of course you want to win Le Mans. But we're wrecking our cars. I said, well, it's real simple, build better cars, hire better drivers. I don't know. Why do you want us? So we swooped in, did chemistry on their guys, dialed them in, but we did telemetry on them, and we found out when they were racing really hard around a track, really fast, their core body temperature went up. And when their core body temperature went up, their track times went up. They're basically, their reflexes slow down, right? So with core body temp changes, you lose efficiency or neuroplasticity, right? The ability to be able to fire on time, actually, just like the hockey player that could get to that puck the first 90 times, but when they're fatigued, they can't get to it and make the same shot, right? So
Gotcha.
we designed a product for them to spray in their nose called Synapsin. And it's basically a natural compound. But the problem was it's a nasal spray, and that's not a dietary supplement. People don't eat through their nose. So we had to find a way to deliver it and be able to deliver it and it be affordable. And so the compound's very expensive. So when we figured out Synapsin that we could put into a tablet, Mike loved it because it, helps people with their TBIs. It helps them to focus better. It helped them to be able to think clearer. It helped them to keep their reaction time on point. Right. So why this technology is important is that it takes typically difficult to absorb compounds that can have incredible value if you're whether you're working out hard or trying to just have the best performance health. If you're an elite athlete, or you're elite in your job, or you're just working your tail off, you want to feel good. So now we can take difficult to absorb compounds and dramatically enhance their absorption, and now you get the benefit of them. So that's
Okay,
kind of the
so
story.
So a liposome, just to simplify it for me, is basically like a water balloon, but a balloon inside a balloon. Like you've got a couple of layers. You've got this water core, and then you've got, is it phospholipids? It's
Yep.
something that kind of creates these membranes, and then you put other things in it that now it will permeate through cell walls and get to where it needs to go.
Yeah, so the water core that you're talking about almost would be the active ingredient. So at the
Okay.
center of the liposome is the nutrient, and it's protected by the phospholipid layer, and that's where our patent is in effect, is actually the matrix that is around it, which we can only share so much about it,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's where the patent is on us, and a part of the
For-
process of how we make it, because there's no, I can say this because it's in our white paper, but there's no heat involved in the process, so there's no raw material degradation across the manufacturing process. There's a lot of things that we can get super science-y if we want to, but there's a
Let's talk about
But-
let's talk about particle physics
Yeah.
and electron microscopy and perovskite.
Killing me.
Let's go.
But we have a really good we have a really great white paper on our website that dives into, why the LipoTab technology versus liquids. There's a host of reasons why the LPT tech is superior to liquids. And then, but also I wanted to touch on, once we had that tech, then we built like the Avenger team of human performance with the board of advisors that we have.
Nice.
Like, we're going to hit this hard, and it's been good so far. I've been able to meet people like yourself all across, through all the connections with Mike and all the coaches, and really just trying to spread the word on, hey, we have something now that is the best return on your investment when you're actually spending your hard-earned money on supplementation and things to make your health better. You want to make sure they work and we have something that people are going to feel and really genuinely notice on their performance on a daily basis.
It was first developed for opioids and pain medications to try to reduce the toxicity of them, right? So you could absorb more, get the benefit without the risk, right? So then we took that invention and then said, what if we applied it to things that are already good for you? Right.
Wow. So we're
Basically,
going
that's
from
kind of the thought.
water balloon to Jello shots is really what you're telling me.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
And neon lights too. Don't forget the bright neon lights. That's really important. But what's interesting is, so we just had the Arctic Challenge happen. So the Arctic Challenge was 4 people rode 1,000 kilometers across the Arctic Ocean. The former record was 14 days, 23 hours?
Just 14 days.
It was just 14 days. They did it in 10. And when they got done, they were like, I'm not even sore, because they were chewing up basically all of our liposomal tablet technologies for improving oxygen, keeping brain coherence on point, reducing inflammation signaling. And this was, U.S. Special Forces guy, 2 row team members, and Jimmy Graham. And we actually cut a couple hours of interview with them where we go over how they were feeling, and it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, the nice thing is the products apply to a wide range of people, and that's what we're trying to get across, is like, you don't have to be an elite athlete to get benefit out of these products. Whether you're a mom, dad, executive, son that just wants to, shoot hoops on the weekends and just feel good, and all these, like, they help athletes to perform really well, but they also help, everybody. And it's hard because, when you're building a brand, they say, focus in on your niche and, get your avatars and all these things. And it's like, we really think we can help a lot of people, and we want to, whether they're, like I said, athletes to Gen Pop, we believe our products are going to make a difference in your life. So But just continuing to educate on the technology and on what each of these, products do, because each of them have a pretty specific use case, which is a lot different than majority of brands out there where you can kind of hit an overarching, you know, category of things where each of our products are pretty specific to some processes. So, we have our cognitive product, we have our curcumin, we have, EGCG, green tea extract called Viraxel. Go to a normal person, they're not going to not really understand what, EGCG, epigalactin, 94 percent, is. So we have to educate on, hey, this is what it's for, this is why it's works more efficiently than what else is on there on the market, and kind of go from there. But that's been like our battle up to this point, is just educating the general consumer on something that can be pretty complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll give you a good example. I mean, I turned 65. I still like to work out. I think I still want to train fairly hard, but responsibly, which I just learned last year.
Nice, very nice. I like that.
But I think
he's gonna read your book that you sent me. I'm gonna have him read it first before I do.
Yeah, but my point to it, my point to it was, I want products that are going to allow me to, play at my best, have fun. I like training. I like running. I like all the things I do. But I know at the age I'm at, I have to, I got to also watch for DOMs and make sure that I'm not going to, hurt anything, make sure my metabolism's on point. And I think that's, at any stage in life, this can benefit people. And whether you're training hard or you're just wanting to really just feel the best you can. There's a lot of people that after 2:30, I mean, I've talked to a lot of executives. I have a pretty good sized practice. After 2:30, they don't like making a decision because they're kind of powered down then, and we really shouldn't be powered down then,
No.
So
Yeah,
I think that's why I wanted to do this. Obviously after designing products for so many companies, was one, we had unique delivery. Two, I've always loved products that delivered fast, like you feel them, not just I'm taking a multi, not just you actually feel the product when you take it, and I think that's incredibly important for people.
And it says a lot when we have our coaches coming back to us going, our athletes are even telling us they're noticing it. When you get an athlete to tell you that they're actually noticing what you're giving them, to me that's a huge win, because majority of the time they're just like, whatever you give me, fine, I'll take it. Especially with hockey, they're they'll just do whatever the coach tells them to do. But Mike's like, I actually have athletes coming back to me going, I feel this stuff. Like, what the heck did you just give me? And that just is continuing to happen over and over, from our wholesale practitioner accounts that are utilizing some of our products in medical practices to, chiropractors, to, personal trainers, to our human performance leads at various universities and teams. So, and then we also work with a host of athletes as well that are, reporting back amazing results.
well, I can attest to the effect. I mean,
What did you notice? What was it for you?
Clarity and focus, and even level of energy. I am ADHD through and through. I am over caffeinated on a regular basis, and remarkable. I am typically, I won't say a naysayer. I would, I know there's the power of, yes, yeah. I know there's the power of placebo effects and all that, but this was
Right.
something different. The very first time that I took Synapsin,
Right.
it it I could feel it. I will just say that I felt more focus, a higher level of concentration without quick distractions, and without being hyper focused either. Like
Yep.
there's a difference for me. I will either be, I have attention variant, I think disorder is a better way of saying it, because I can be truly hyper focused and then I can be scattered. And to try and find that middle ground where I have a relaxed sense of focusedness with energy is what I received from just one time, which was really remarkable. It wasn't like you had to build up. It isn't like you had to load your system into it and weeks go by until you feel the various effects,
That's
depending
right.
upon. It is immediate. I mean, as quickly as it can get into your system. At least I'm not the scientist here, but I'm just from I guess, a subjective viewpoint, not objective. But man, that's what kind of helped.
Yeah.
That's what tripped me up. I'm going, this is something else.
I actually think
Forget
that's
Monster and
Yeah.
well,
sorry Red Bull, but no, that's just not what I'm looking for.
that's probably one of the best explanations
That was
that
on
was
point.
really spot on what we try to get across to people is like it's not a hyper focused horse blinder type focus that you get from a lot of the nootropics or the stimulants on the market.
It's not a stimulant.
because it's not a stimulant. We like to say it's not a nootropic, it's not a stimulant. It's a longevity compound for your brain because of the mechanisms that he'll get into. But you explained it 100% correct on how people should feel on it. It's just a clear, uninterrupted focus, and it's clean. There's no crash in energy. I have students that take it at 6 p.m. because they're like, I need 2 hours of homework. They get it done, and you can go right to bed.
Wow.
You can go right to bed after. There's just because there is no stimulatory, and it's really great with a lot of our athletes in evening games because a lot of times these guys aren't getting to bed until, especially in hockey, not getting to bed till 3, 4, a.m.
Sure.
in the morning. And Mike started using the Synapsin in his pregame pack and is using it at halftime. And now they're able to wind these guys down a lot easier after the game. But that same concept applies to executives that need to work in the evening, or if you hit that midday wall, or you struggle with brain fog, or any of these things that people are plagued with on cognitive function. It's a very safe and effective way to, push through a lot of those barriers and walls.
But only
How
I've
does
been
it work?
researching it for 25 years, so I don't know
Yeah.
much about it.
Yeah.
I felt like I was in the movie Limitless, except I couldn't maintain all the information that he did
right,
through his
right,
life.
That's what we tell people.
It's
like
lightweight. It's
like,
lightweight
yeah,
limitless.
exactly.
That's it.
Exactly. We got to
But
throw
how's
that
it?
limitless pill
There you
term
go.
around lightly.
James, give me the lowdown, if you could, in terms that I would understand. What did it do to me?
So, the more stress your brain gets under, the more you produce what's called neuroinflammation. So, if you want to think of it as the most basic, like you said, grind it way down, your brain's like a circuit breaker box. When you blow a circuit, guess what? No matter how often you go back to that lamp to turn the light bulb back on, guess what? It's not going to go back on. What synapsin does is it keeps the circuit breaker box from blowing, and meaning that it blocks what's called microglial activation. So the immune cells of your brain are told to calm down, and that reduces oxidative stress or the rate of rusting on your neurons. So your neurons aren't under tension and stress. So it maximizes something called neuroplasticity, the ability of you to signal through your neurons what you're supposed to do. And then there's several other mechanisms, but the other one would be it blocks the what's called calcium ion influx, the glutamate bridge, which is what creates kind of a sympathetic hyperexcitation, or in the term it's called excitotoxic response in your brain. So what you're doing is you're keeping the circuit boards wide open, you're not allowing the wires to overheat. You're allowing communication of the neurons so that sympathetic and parasympathetic tone stays intact, which end result is I'm keeping my core body temperature down and my brain coherence at peak. So as long as I can get to that parasympathetic sympathetic tone,
Yeah.
right? That's what its trigger is.
Cal,
You're
it's
putting me in the Goldilocks spot, is what you're doing. You really are. It's not too hard, not too soft, not too hot, not too cold. It's just right. And that's what I strive for within the training environment, is not to
Yes.
send them sympathetic, not to drop them too deep, but
Yep.
can I get them into that spot? And now you're talking not only from a biomechanical standpoint, now we can do it from a neurological standpoint.
Right.
I mean, he just hit on to the thing that we talk about. Biomechanics meets biochemistry, because it's the same
Boom.
goal in the biochemistry as well, as to strive for homeostasis and balance in the metabolism, to where you're resilient to these stressors that are put on your body, and to your, metabolism. And that's what we strive for, and that's what we educate on, is finding that balance. And Cal has actually wrote a couple amazing articles on that parasympathetic sympathetic balance, and his athletes that he uses the Enduro 2, which is the adaptogen, with the Synapsin. And he's seen some pretty remarkable
Crazy results, actually.
results on HRV and heart rate recovery in between sets. And we actually have an article on our blog that he has a couple actually articles about that on there. That I would encourage people to go check out. I can send you the link to it to put in the notes. That way people can just click on it. But as you're saying all of that, I just looked at him and I was like, he's hitting it right on the money. On just, that's what people don't understand now, is now everything's about, I'm gonna push as hard as I can for as long as I can, and blah, just like all the time. And that just is, it's conducive of dysfunction at some
You
point.
just drive sympathetic tone, and why is it important to keep the brain in balance? Well, you have a nervous system that connects the brain to the gut called the enteric nervous system, right? So
Mhm.
if you're sympathetic dominant, you create more inflammatory cytokines like interleukin 6 that tells your gut membrane, right, the epithelial cells of your gut, to gap. And now you start to get more allergies, you get more immunologic, disruption, mood changes,
Food
bowel habit
sensitivities.
changes, food sensitivities and allergies, right?
Yep.
All these things change. And they've pretty much, I mean, there's papers on this like crazy nowadays, right? So the biggest thing for me is never forget that the brain is the field general, right? That there's a reason why we have something called vagal tone, why we look at our heart rate variability, why we look at 2 minute heart rate recovery, why we look at resting heart rate, is because the brain's a field general, and you got to keep that nervous system intact in order to optimize that interface of biomechanics meeting biochemistry to optimize your health and performance in your life.
This seems like a good spot to take a quick little break, acknowledge the sponsor of Kinetic IQ. Kinetic IQ, remember, they bring a biomechanics lab into the palm of your hands, letting you measure movement anytime, anywhere, with just an iPad or an iPhone. No wearables required. It's as easy as you can imagine. I've been using Kinetic IQ's markerless motion capture in my own practice, screening athletes, analyzing posture and gait mechanics, helping me to optimize performance and guide my players back into a return to play. It helps practitioners like us save time, capture more objective data, and make instant actionable decisions. So to learn more about how Kinetic IQ is shaping the future of intelligent movement, visit their website. That's kinetikiq.com. KINETIKIQ.com. It wasn't long ago where topics like this were maybe by the mainstream considered more on the fringe. Much like the approach that I take with strength conditioning, have it be based on resting posture and gait mechanics, and trying to find that tone in between and use the autonomic nervous system to help gauge which movement and intensity your brain is really wanting at that given time, and actually using the nervous system to be the compass by which you continue down the path that you're on. And then, it wasn't too long ago, a couple of years ago, Cal and I were on the podcast here, and talk about another brother on the fringe. Like right? His RPR stuff is reflexive performance reset. I mean, it's now you got other places like Square One or other Square System, I think it is. You've got others delving into more of the brain science. So I guess what I'm saying is thank you for putting even more science behind the concepts that we have been working with and utilizing. And maybe now that you've got all these professional and NCAA teams and others beyond that taking a lot of these products and immediately seeing a change. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Well,
thank you.
I smirk because the room that we're in is his office, and we have a library out there, and we have all these books and things that he's written for Rite Aid, CVS, monographs from the 80s and 90s, and we start rifling through some of this stuff. And he was teaching a lot of these concepts back in 1985, 1990. I think his first lecture on cracking the metabolic code, which is one of his books, was in 1987 or 1994, one of the two.
Many gray hairs ago.
Yeah, and it's just
You and me both.
You said it, like we see it all the time because I bring all this stuff up to him. He's like, yeah, I remember when that was popular back in the 90s or this, that, and the other. And he's had to endure a ton of hatchets in his back teaching at medical school and college of pharmacy and all these things, with being somebody that's always safely on the leading edge of human performance and precision health. Is, now it's finally starting to catch up, and we've seen some papers from Stanford that have really kind of proved your thesis right on your metabolic code system and the way you approach the body, that, hey, the body's a systems of systems, the multi-omics of the body, everything touches each other at one point in time, and you have to treat the body as systems, not as symptoms and cure, or cure is a word I shouldn't say.
It's okay.
But he's teaching me I'm learning from the podcast master and the TV master over here on some of my podcasting skills, but we're getting there.
Well,
No,
I see.
I would just say it's like you're only as strong as your weakest link, just like what you identified. Yeah, I love what you just told me, how you evaluate, because you just can never separate the nervous system from anything. The immune system, the endocrine system. There's this neuro-endocrine-immune relationship that is driving how every organ's working, right? And the
Right.
and the more you distort it, the more that flywheel's flying out of distortion, the more the organs kind of get out of sync with each other. Instead of bringing everything back into homeostasis, knowing when recovery is there, knowing where your next step should be, I just think we're just now starting to unravel these things, right? It's a lot. It's finally coming out. I was fortunate. I stood on the shoulders of great teachers and mentors of mine who were very much ahead of their time. So, it's all good.
Well, that's how it occurs. I mean, I think we can both say that too. I mean, I've had some amazing instructors and mentors over the years that eventually the pieces of the puzzle start to interlock and they make a greater picture. And there's always going to be missing pieces, but the goal is to honestly just try and find those out there. It's like a treasure hunt in a way. And as far as I'm concerned, like the stuff that you guys have are big pieces in my puzzle that I have been waiting for technology to advance enough. This and actually markerless motion capture, I won't get into that right now, but just remember 20 plus years ago thinking that, oh man, if we could just look at how somebody moves and we can transfer it onto the screen and we can measure that, boy, what would that be like? But we were dealing with little styrofoam ping pong balls at the time on caps and all that. I'm like, okay,
markers on joints,
right? We just had to wait. And I'm sure there was delivery systems that you guys were kind of considering, but right now here we are, and it's actually a reality. So you've got, and I'm not turning this into an infomercial for the listening audience. If you think it is, then you're blowing smoke at yourself, because this is just pure on performance science as far as I'm concerned. And it's really the first time that we've delved deep into the science of it all. But from endurance to growth and performance to neuro or cognitive fine tuning or reduce focusing and reducing the blur, to gut health, which is everything as far as I'm concerned. I mean, that is
Right.
what it takes in everything we need to survive. And if our gut isn't right, then all the systems are going to be haywire. And then there is also restorative stuff that you guys are focusing on. Am I missing something?
No, I mean that those are the main uh,
No.
categories: cognitive support, immune, supporting healthy inflammatory response in the body. We got glucose and insulin regulation. We got
Yep. Mucosal barrier
yep,
integrity,
endurance, and then soft tissue
glutathione and
repair.
detox,
Yep,
improving
phase one, phase two detox.
improving oxygenation of tissues, reducing ischemia significantly. So you know how it gets. You know, the more people train, the more they collapse their microcapillaries,
It,
and so this keeps the oxygenation deep into their muscle and their tissues, and that better oxygen in the tissues. Quicker I'm going to recover, quicker I'm going to get the waste products out, the better I'm going to perform, the better my lactate threshold is. Right, all
Right?
those simple things.
yeah, I mean it's hard because we could just go, take all of them because they all of them would help, right? But
Sure.
I always tell people to like work reverse engineer it. What are your goals? What are the things you need to work on right now? Where's your metabolism broke?
Right.
And start there. That's how we always like if I'm an endurance athlete or I'm doing training for high rocks, go for the curcumin and the enduro 2. Those two will be a game changer in your training day one. If you're um, a esports athlete, not a lot of younger kids now are playing video games, doing the streaming, all that stuff. Synapsin, I would go there. Because that's going to be something where you're not ripping the caffeine all day. You can replace one or two of your energy drinks with a caffeine or with a synapsin and dramatically reduce your caffeine intake. That's where at Tech when I was a GA, I got all the strength coaches hooked on synapsin because they're like, man, I don't need my afternoon caffeine anymore, or I am able to reduce my caffeine intake in half.
And it's tactical. First responders do
Yeah.
great with that. Anything where you've got that fast twitch that you have to really be responsive. Like we had a motorcycle racer that
Yeah.
unbelievable response. It's just, so that's where synapsin's invaluable. Glutathione, real important in terms of detoxification, right? We have an acetyl glutathione that actually helps with getting your glutathione pools up, helping you with methylation. So that's great. Yeah,
Methylation being like getting heavy metals out of your system. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah,
Wow.
exactly. Now, if I was going to do that, I would use it as a support product for something a little heavier duty clinically. If you were coming to my clinic because you had heavy metals, we would use something more like dimercaptosuccinic acid. You'd say that 3 times real fast, right?
Oh, you're turning me on with these big words, though, and we're not even married.
I thought so. That's why I did it. No,
Well,
but I mean, honestly, but if you were going to just kind of be on your own, doing some fulvic acid or doing some cilantro or chlorella, but then having the acetylglutathione on board, the LPT, that's a great combo to be getting rid of metals and pesticides, especially if you're doing like a cilantro, chlorella with the glutathione
Yeah,
LPT.
and glutathione's really popular in all the IV clinics and stuff. It's like, which it works IV, it works intermuscular, but we're getting really, really similar results in our chewable, which is,
Yeah.
if not better, which is rare for any glutathione supplement that's really on the market, unless it's in being delivered appropriately and more efficiently, which ours does. Um, so
which
that,
actually, that's one thing that we didn't even speak of is the delivery system are chewables, and
yeah,
and so you chose that because it's
People get pill
just the
fatigue.
yeah. Oh, really? That's the why
yeah.
reason?
Well,
One of them.
one of them.
Okay,
We kind of hit a lot of birds with one stone with this thing
right.
because of pill fatigue. It's like I feel like people are only telling me to take more pills, and it's like if we can replace 3 or 4 of your products with chewables,
People are happy.
they're really happy. It's like, oh, I can just chew them up, a couple
Exactly.
times a day now. Also, absorbs better through the mouth because you get the
There you go.
you get the micellular absorption, the lymphatic. There's a lot of, I like to say, as you're chewing it up and you chew it up, you pretty much get 90% of the active ingredient in your system before it even hits your stomach, which is one of the biggest issues is the absorption through the GI tract, with a lot of products just get broken down and not absorbed properly in capsules, or mainly in the
No first pass effect.
yeah, no first pass effect, mainly in the things that, aren't absorbed really well. That's a lot of times the reason why. Um, so
And it's just,
Yeah, how can you expect something to digest in a gut that's not functioning properly?
even better.
that too.
Well, no, it's that that's correct. It's that no fault way to get something to absorb. And that's
Wow.
fantastic. I mean, honestly, I was a critic of this technology when I very first heard of it, when I went to meet my now business partner. I was like, there is no way what you're telling me happens. I mean, when I went through pharmacy school, we made products in the lab, and in the early '80s, you had to be in the lab making stuff. I made liposomes. I understand them, right? So I was all arrogant, And then he was like, well, most of these dietary supplements don't do squat.
Yeah.
So we both kind of had our chip on our shoulders. I give him Synapsin to put in the tablet. He starts eating them as they come off the manufacturing line. He calls me up on the way home saying, "Hey, I feel like a fighter pilot the way I'm driving. This is amazing." He was like, "This is so good. My focus is so good." Right. And I was just, okay, now we got a winner, because I didn't tell him to expect that. And from there, it's been incredible.
Yep.
And now we're going to start doing some studies on it to show what's going on with it cognitively, particularly with our liposomal delivery.
Yeah, we got some exciting stuff lined up on that end, because we are eagerly wanting to tell people, the bioavailability of it, and how it actually compares to a capsule and things like that, which we have a lot of really strong data on the technology.
Right.
We also have done a study on a compound on the compounding pharmacy side of things, showing its efficacy. So we have the data on the technology, and we know the raw material that we use is extremely high quality, and then it works.
Excuse me.
But what we're striving for now is to get these studies done on our actual products, and just continue to, like you said, just
Prove it works.
and just continue to develop the science around what we're trying to do, and keep pushing the science forward, and really push the needle on dietary supplements and performance.
Now, we've already brought up Mike Potenza with San Jose Sharks. We already spoke that he's got his team on it. And those guys, I was just over at Sharks Ice a couple weeks ago. And the rookies had shown up. The veterans were coming in. They're loving it. And then you also mentioned Cal. So for those that have been in a closet or, wherever, chained in the basement, if you don't know Cal Dietz, USA Hockey, men's and women's, and University of Minnesota, I mean, and beyond. Like, Cal's got the triphasic training. He's got reflexive performance reset. He's got some great inside information. What other teams are you able to tell me? What other teams are taking your products?
Yeah, so we have Kevin Neal is on our board as well with the
Boston Bruins. Kevin's been on the show before. Check out the podcast archives. There you go.
Oh yeah, he's great. We love having him on the team. We also have Jim Snyder with University of Wisconsin, who's been there for 25 years.
No relation.
Yeah, he's another biosig disciple. Him and Tim Karen, who's also on our board, who wrote Strength Deficit, was with Army USC. Now he's in the private sector. He's using it at his gyms, and then obviously Snides is using it at Wisconsin. And then, am I missing any? Robert Jacobs, also another OG Poliquin guy, using it in his training practice out in Georgia. Yeah, we got some college teams. Dave Scholes is another one of our longtime, I would say, friends, but also business partners and colleagues in the space, who's a big believer in our stuff. Trying to think who else we got. We got some. I know we got some NHL teams on it who Mike got us set up with, and uh,
Right now, more individual players,
yeah,
which obviously
Yeah,
I can't mention.
yeah,
But
sure.
individual players versus teams on that level. Other than we've got like a few of these teams, but it's really it's just a little over a year old,
yeah.
and now that we've
Brand new.
got BSCG, it's and more leagues accepting BSCG, we're pretty good shape right now to start to penetrate the kind of professional and collegiate space. I mean, we're already in the military's catalog. So
The
that was
practitioner side of
the
things, the
practitioner side
peer
of things.
connections, and we're really pushing hard into the sports space. Um, but what just educating on the lipo tab is just our hurdle with a lot of dietitians and performance teams, just because it's so new.
Yeah.
Really having to present the science behind it, and a lot of the times I'll just send some product to the staff, they'll try it, and then next thing you know, they're banging my door
The
down.
easy thing when products work is
Yeah,
just try it.
yeah.
Don't
Exactly.
And
just try it.
I'm going to touch on the BSCG, certified drug free, because we have an amazing relationship with Catlin, who's the president of that company. Um, we went with BSCG because we believe that they have the best testing out of all the third party out there. As well as we think our products are in really good hands with them. So our products with the gold seal, the certified drug free, are tested for over 450 banned substances and pharmaceutical compounds or adulterants that should not be in your products. So they're IOC approved with this International Olympic Committee. UFC, they just got pretty much, they're okay for all sports. The only one that is finicky is MLB with the NSF for sport. But, any NFL just opened up their third party who they allow. BSCG's on that list. NHL's working there. So just getting the education out on the BSCG certified drug free and really just helping spread their name, because they really do things the right way. They look at our label claims, they look at every single C of A, they look at everything from start to finish, from raw material to manufacturing process. Our manufacturer also got their BSCG GMP certification, which they have somebody that comes in and audits the facility. And we really take pride in having clean products. So, the amount of testing and the rigor that our products go through to achieve that gold certified drug free label is no joke, and is a lot of work on our end. And yes, it costs us money, but when we're working with the caliber of people that we have, and then his name and all of our board's names, they're attaching their reputation and their name on our products, and we have to make sure we deliver on the quality and the efficacy of these things every single day, or else there's going to be people coming back saying, hey, what the heck's going on, this, that, and the other. And we don't leave anything up to chance on that side of things. So we really make sure we cross our T's and dot our I's on all of that.
Okay. So banned substance control group, BSCG, they are the gold standard in your industry when it comes to that. So you get that seal of approval, and it's clean. It's you don't have to worry about testing in regards to athletic performance or enhanced performance, so to speak. I mean, you are enhancing performance, but you're enhancing it by getting it into a level that it ideally should be in a world that is pulling us down below those numbers in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the food choices we have, the technology that takes us from purposeful physical activity, the human is adapting to a technologically savvy world,
Yep.
and it's coming at a price. And you guys are just bringing us back into a really nice homeostasis where we should be. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
man,
Not a doubt. I mean, in the end, it's, do you have good metabolic reserve? Do you have good resiliency? Do you have good vitality? I mean, those are it. And I would say that after all the years of doing this work, even with athletes that are, out of this world, that you can identify areas that they can improve.
Yeah,
and
you've
that's
got the
important.
one for growth and sitting at about 5'1". I was all set to do the growth, and then I realized that's not the kind of growth you're talking about. But that's okay. I'm happy with Synapsin. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, we got some really unique products on there. I know we didn't get into all of them, but we'll
Well,
definitely
we're going to have
try.
to get you guys back on. We're going to have to do a volume 2, and honestly, it'd be really great to dive into more of the technical side of things and
Yeah,
just
sure.
teach me what is it that I need to know about this. Give me more insight as to in terms of the nervous system and its interrelatedness between all other systems and functions in the body. I love eating it up, and I'm sure there's quite a few people listening to this right now that are nodding their heads saying the same thing. But as it stands, man, here we are an hour later into this conversation, and you guys have been gracious enough to put aside time for me to do this. I don't want to hijack anymore. But what you could do is give us information on where can we learn more and where should we go.
Yeah, so for Metabolic Elite, you can go to the website www.metabolicelite.co. Also follow us on all social medias at metabolic_elite. My Instagram is Christian LaValle 5. My dad's Instagram is the real Jim LaValle. You can follow on any of those and pretty much, get to all the rest of them. So
Right.
post a lot of information, try to post a lot of education on there, and just like I said, just continue to push the needle forward on human performance. Yeah, that's where you can
Yeah,
find
let's
us.
go. Part 2. We can really dig in.
Heck yeah. And I
Let's
love
go.
that there's
That'd be
another
great.
OG with an Instagram. It's good that you're out there too. No matter
Yeah, we
no
worked
matter how
on
long
that
I've been
this
here.
past
No,
year.
I gotta tell you, no. You won't believe this. 2 years ago, I never even looked at my name on the internet, and I looked it up. Yeah, I just didn't care. I mean,
All
it
right.
didn't matter to
You're
me.
busy enough.
Yeah, it was, and all of a sudden, I put my name in, and I called him up and said, "You know, there's like 25 pages on me on the, when you do a search." And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh."
Yeah,
Where'd everybody get all this stuff?
Yeah.
As I'm looking at all these things that have been all my publications, all my lectures, all this stuff. That was really funny. But now he's getting me in the 21st century, and I may, I may
That's
survive
it.
it yet.
Yeah. So got him rolling on that side of things. Trying to give him a platform because he's deserves to have a platform with the work that he's done in the industry. So
That's great.
we're doing it together as a duo, and now it's great being a father son kind of, I would say, up and coming. He's already a powerhouse. I'm trying to like I said, create my own impact on the industry, but doing it under his wing is something that's pretty special. So we'd love to hop back on for a part 2, dive into some more science,
That was
and
fun.
would love to be on again and keep chatting with you.
Oh, we'll make that a reality for sure. Guys, hey, thanks so much, James, Christian. I really appreciate your time, and thank you.
No, thank you. Appreciate it.
Great.
And we'll put that one in the vault for later. I can't thank James and Christian enough for coming on and sharing some amazing information. I got to dive deeper for sure, getting those guys on back here. Now remember, Kinetic IQ, one of our main sponsors here, markerless motion capture. If you want to measure movement anytime, anywhere, have real-time analysis with real-world impact, Kinetic IQ is where you got to go. That's KINETIKIQ.com. And until next week, remember, just check out what's going on my website, RockySnyder.com. Maybe there's a course coming in your area. Arizona in November, I'll be there. NSCA, check it out. We'll see you next week.